acronym from aging, lifestyle in Blacks and Asians. Next slide.
Yeah, give me.
So ALIBSA is a knowledge exchange program platform which allows us to reach out to the community, improving and providing health information resources. So we are a great team of multidisciplinary researchers and also business owners, whereby we engage with the Black and Asian communities. I happen to be the founder of ALIBSA, and I'll hand over the mic to Alosh, who is the co-host on this session.
Hi, my name is Alosh. I'm the co-host of ALIBSA. I also lead a community organization that delivers accessible cricket across the Northeast. So we've got a wonderful team of admin members with us who are taking ALIBSA to new levels. We also have a WhatsApp community. So this is where we've got more than 120 people in the community, and this is where you get all the updates about ALIBSA. You can follow ALIBSA's progress through the community, and it's also a great way to interact with each other. So this is the phone number that you can message. If you message either of the phone number, you'd be added to the community, or you can click the link to be added to the community. I will post that link later in the group chat, so everyone can join using that link as well. But yeah, it'd be great if everyone could join the community. And we also have got a website, alibsa.com. So go have a look at the website, and then again you can follow what we've been doing. You can read about our previous webinars. You can read the blogs about that, so that you keep up to date with what ALIBSA is doing and has been doing in the past. So we have today's host for ALIBSA. For already introduced ourselves, so we go forward.
So for today, we are starting with introducing the webinar, which we've all done. And then the next thing is to introduce our amazing speaker, Sarah Azadane. So we would share some insights on menopause and navigating through menopause. Next slide. So some housekeeping rules before we start today. Please kindly be on mute. If you want to ask any question, raise your hand and we'll allow you to ask your question. Please switch on your camera, as we would love to see your bright faces. And you can always raise your hands whenever you want to ask any question. So next slide.
Yeah, you can also add the questions on the group, on the chat as well. So we'll follow that up as well as we go through.
Yeah,
so today's speaker.
I would like to introduce our keynote speaker, Sarah Azadane, who is a menopause coach and the director of Hawkins Coaching and Consulting Limited. So over to you, Sarah.
I'll stop sharing the slides now, Sarah, and then we can start.
Lovely, thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm so pleased to be here and to see all of you. I'm going to just share my window for a moment. We're going to have a little blur till I get to the slides. There. Wonderful. So thank you all for your time today, and I hope we have a wonderful time together. This will be an interactive session. So at first, does anyone have any idea what wellness coaching is, or coaching? Feel free to come off of mute or put it in the chat. I'll stop my, just so I can come back into the chat to see if anyone's said anything.
It's, for me, it's someone who supports people's overall well-being from all aspects. That's what wellness coaching is for me.
That's great, thank you. Any other ideas people want to contribute?
I think specifically if it's wellness coaching, it's about helping them find a way to their own wellness using coaching techniques, rather than giving them the answers, but understanding what can best fit their own lifestyle and what is feasible for them.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Yes, that's largely part of it. Thank you. I'm also seeing, yes, wellness coaching is supporting and teaching people on best practices regards to health and lifestyle, helping people achieve their goals, specifically health goals. Yes, so you definitely all get it. That's really great. Thank you. So I'll go back to presenting. And I will put this into the slideshow mode. That's great. So coaches work to help people with lifestyle changes. So we hold a space to help you reflect on what's working for you, what you'd like to change. We'll look at things that are within your control. So it's not like medicine or anything. It's talking about your lifestyle, looking at exercise and looking at nutrition and things like this. So we help you identify the goals you want to reach, help you break it down into small steps, and help keep you accountable. So you're able to check in, see how things are going, and make adjustments as we need to. We're your cheerleaders, and we want to celebrate and support you. So it's like extra little cheer team with you. And there was a Forbes article that talked about reaching goals. And one of the ways to do this successfully is to have an accountability buddy. So whether that's someone, a coach, or someone you can tell this is my goal, and then also check in with them. So almost like a little project manager to see if you're on track. So that's what we do. A little bit about me. So I really love helping people to thrive. In addition to coaching, I've also been in the tech sector since 1999, various tech and data companies. Interestingly, both have the characteristics of start where you are, make small improvements, inspect and adapt as you go along to make changes. And why I became a coach was because with menopause, there's a lot of information out there now, but doctors are still only getting mandatory tests in medical school from this academic year. So there's a lot of space, I think, to help people with day-to-day understanding of this, helping them to prepare for those discussions with their healthcare providers, and looking at lifestyle changes, because as we know, it's not just only pills and medicine. There are things that we need to do to look after ourselves. So helping with that. And then similar in the neurodivergent community, there's progress, but still a lot of help is still needed. Great. So let's get into the topic of today. So I would ask if you wouldn't mind joining on our Mentimeter. And what words come to mind when you think about menopause? Switch over so we can get to our Mentimeter. Or feel free, if you're not able to get into the Mentimeter, our hosts have kindly offered to help facilitate this through our chat. Unfortunately, I can't see that. So
Can you put the number into the chat, please?
oh, sure. One moment, let me get that for you. I'll get the link. Sorry, you're going to see a mirror, everybody. Does that take you directly there?
The number is 29785329.
Yes, correct. Thank you.
And if you use the link, that will take you directly to the question Sarah has asked.
Great. So thinking about words that come to mind when you think about menopause. Just going to refresh in case this is lagging behind. I don't know how real time this is. Here we are. Brilliant. It's coming up. I'll refresh one more time. This is really great. Thank you so much for contributing, and happy to have more thoughts on this. So yeah, we're seeing a mixture of symptoms as well as kind of themes and phases. So cessation of menses, this is true. So menopause is the phase that will get us to the end of our menstrual cycles occurring. Erratic periods, yes, getting to that final period, they can be very erratic, and hormone influence, it's very good. And talking about the symptoms, hot flashes, hot flushes, so we got the British and American English going on. So lack of sleep, yes, so insomnia, and looking at age, and because this is a certain phase of our life. That's really great, thank you. Anything else coming through from the admins? Or can I go to the slides?
I don't have anything on the chat box, but if there's anything, just put it in the chat box and we will
Add it to.
make sure that, yes, Sarah knows that as well.
That's great. Thank you. Okay, so I'll go back to the slideshow. Perfect. So we'll talk a little bit about menopause at a high level. So this is a transition that half the world's population will go through. It is natural. There are situations where it might be triggered through surgery or certain medications. We'll get into that a little bit later. But generally speaking, when people say menopause, it actually can talk about a couple different little phases that we'll go through. So in the very beginning, after the fertile years, so starting maybe late 30s, it will vary from person to person. People have different symptoms, some have none. They will have varying symptoms like severity as well. So around mid to late 30s, what begins is perimenopause, potentially, where this is where we see our hormone fluctuations, and we can see on the graph on the right, you have a fertile year, which is the first column, and we got our two hormones, progesterone and estrogen, that are quite high. That's the solid line, the dotted line. And as you see, going into perimenopause, they start fluctuating. And when they drop, that's when we start having those symptoms that you all put together in the Mentimeter. And there's more as well, potentially. So those fluctuate, and that's because fertility is starting to come to an end. It's the running out of eggs, ovulation, which is the egg comes out from the ovaries. This is coming out sporadically. And then we can transition into menopause. Now, this is something that is a single calendar day. That means 12 months before, there have been no bleeds, no period. And then after that, that single day, that person is described as postmenopausal. It means the time after menopause. And I'm going to move my summary here. So as you can see, the hormones are fluctuating, going up and down, perimenopause and menopause. And then postmenopause, they start leveling out, but they are lower from when they are in the fertility years. And that's really important, because when they're lowered, even though they stop fluctuating, that has implications for the rest of our health, because those hormones are really important for our entire system, and our entire system is quite delicate. So one of the hormones that is not listed on this graph, but that also changes, is testosterone that we have. Both men and women have this. So testosterone also lowers, and that impacts our bone density, muscle health, mood, and libido, similar to the other estrogen and progesterone influencing other areas of our system, which we'll talk about when we get into the symptoms. So what's interesting to note, and this is as an adoptee from South Asia who grew up in the United States, and I didn't have contact to South Asian communities growing up. I didn't really witness anything as you might do with your community, with people maybe going through changes, is that Indians tend to go through this a little bit earlier than Western Caucasian, and other ethnic groups as well might go through this in different ages. And so I found this out when I was on my menopause course, and one of the doctors put this up, and I thought, oh my goodness, this explains a little bit. I thought perhaps I was an early stage of it, and then found out actually it's maybe a little bit further along. So what I would encourage and invite people to do is where they can share their experiences with their family, just so it can help them, so there's no surprises. And also that information can be really helpful when you go to speak with your healthcare provider to work on whatever solutions you'd like to work with during the menopause phase. So the other thing we talked about was that this can naturally occur as we get older, so from our mid to late 30s onward, but also some people that go through surgical procedures to remove ovaries if there's cancer, or they're going through chemotherapy. This can also trigger menopause, and that can be quite sudden. It's not a gradual change. So just to be aware of this as well. And important, again, to talk with your doctors about these kinds of things should any of these come up for you. Okay, and here we can talk about the various symptoms. So we see the role of estrogen, and you'll see a different spelling in some of these between American English and British English, depending on where the content came from. But estrogen has influence on our heart, our liver, our bones, our skin, our brain, our breasts, our ovaries, and uterus. So this is why the symptoms can vary, because it's could potentially impact various areas of our system. So things like we talked about temperature regulation. So not only could you have a hot flush or a hot flash or feeling really warm, you may also feel really cold. And there's things like we talked about that you all mentioned about sleep disturbances. And then there's emotional or psychological changes, like potentially mood changes, feeling more anxious about things. Like some people said they don't really feel comfortable night driving anymore. And then there's a lot of skin issues potentially that can come up, including drier areas and joint pain as well. And then there's also sexual function as well that could be impacted. Here's a longer list as well. And it's not to scare anybody, it's just to say when someone's in their 30s, 40s, they start noticing little things, really important to pay attention to the body, to be able to track them, track these symptoms if they're starting to come up, to be able to, again, talk with healthcare provider, wellness, friends to work through what might be the best thing for you to do or to try. And then if you do try to make some changes, does that help with any of these? So kind of having that body literacy and kind of looking through and kind of noting it down in the way that's comfortable for you. So as we talked about the hormones having an influence on various parts of our body, when estrogen drops over menopause, it drops down 60%. And so that has impacts on our blood vessels, regulating cholesterol, and other things that we need to be careful with our cardiovascular health. So it's really important then to look at some of our lifestyle changes to make sure that we are doing the best we can to set ourselves up for success to avoid cardiovascular problems. And also with the hormones, we're looking at our bone density, and we're also going to be looking at like reducing risks of things like type 2 diabetes. So lifestyle, along with speaking to medical providers, is really going to be very important. So what can we do? So we talked about tracking and recording and having body literacy about yourself. So really understanding about your body, what's going on, and being able to collect that information to talk with your healthcare provider, talk about your own health history, talk about your family health history if you're able to get that for them, and anything you may have tried to just be able to give someone a holistic view of you. So the next few things I'll talk about are coming from the menopause coaching course that I went on, and it's the menopause plan, which I deliver to my clients. So one of the things we look at is hydration. So as we know, hydration is really important for us because we're mostly made of water. But what it also helps with, because it helps so many areas of our system, is looking at mood and being able to sleep, and also improving any kind of joint pain. So if you're seeing some of that or you're having headaches, try looking at hydration and making sure we're getting enough water there. So the next thing would be looking at our nutrition. And so focusing on natural foods and trying to avoid, where we can, any of the processed foods. So things are coming in packages with all kinds of chemicals and preservatives and things like that on them. During the menopause program, we look at that over a week, where we pause on certain foods, or we at least try to reduce them, just to see how the body reacts to it. And then you can try to reintroduce things slowly, again, to see how your body reacts to it, because foods and drinks and things that we had in our 20s might feel differently to us at 40s, and as these hormone fluctuations are happening. So it's just an invitation to learn a little bit more about your body during this time. So think about natural foods. So the other thing is to look at stress management, which is looking at things like our waking up routines and going to bed routines. So trying to keep those at consistent times to help our body kind of wake up and unwind at the end of the day, and looking at stress management in general. So things that we can look at in stress management is clutter can make it really stressful. So having a space that is really cluttered and it's difficult to get around, difficult to find things. Thinking about in our minds, how we're able to kind of clear our minds and be able to relax at the end of the day is really important. And also looking at things like virtual spaces, like if you can't find your files and things like that. So just kind of working through that, making things a little bit easier for you to work through. And then moving on to movement, which is a few of the other ALIBSA speakers have spoken about and how important it is. So what we know is for everybody from 30s, we start losing muscle mass. So it's not only important to do our cardiovascular, so getting some, really brisk walks in or jogs or whatever works to get your heart rate going, but also impact type exercises, which can help with maintaining our muscles, but also working on bone density as well. So making sure we're getting that in. And then looking at, again, with stress management, thinking about how can we make sure we make time for ourselves to look after ourselves, which is really important, and to be able to reflect on how things are going. And that's looking at maybe setting up some boundaries. So willing to help people, but maybe time boxing it and making sure you still have time for yourself, or simply being more comfortable saying no to things. Because at this time in our phase in our life, don't forget, we are also sometimes juggling kids, jobs, maybe older parents that we're looking at. So there's a lot coming at us at this phase of life. So definitely be gentle with yourself. Okay, great. So I would love to hear from you guys again. So we have the Mentimeter, the next few questions. Now come out of this and switch over. And the very first question the first question after the presentation is, what physical activities, sorry, was that, yeah. What physical activities or other activities that you like to do that isn't sport or at the gym that helps manage stress and mood? Just so we can share ideas, because sometimes when people think exercise and they all think, oh, I've got a gym membership, that might be the case, but there might be other things you like to do to help get some physical activity in and also help to reduce stress.
So from my hand, Sarah, it's saying the presenter hasn't changed slides yet. So I'm not sure why that is so from my hand.
If you go into the pressing mode and then change it to the second slide, you'll be able to answer.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand the.
If you go to the present mode within Mentimeter and then change the slide to the second slide, then we'll be able to answer, because currently it's on the first slide.
Okay.
Thank you.
There we go. Is that better?
Yeah.
Everybody in? Okay, good. Thank you.
Put that in the chat again, just in case if people miss that.
Oh, really good stuff coming through.
If anyone has any other questions that you can't access answers for this question, please use the chat box. I know that we had a few answers for the last question in the chat box, so any more answers, just put it in the chat box as well.
Oh, this is really good. I love that it's a mix of things you do outdoors, things you do indoors, and skipping. That's fun. I haven't done that in a while. Swimming, online yoga and Pilates. Yes, it's great that we have so many different options online now to just get all kinds of different ideas for exercise. House chores. So true. I never liked chores, and now I realize actually some of that could be some impact work. So, and cardiovascular as well. So it has changed my mindset on that one. Dancing. Who doesn't like a little kitchen dance? Good stuff. Arts and crafts. Lovely. Really, really lovely. So, these are great. These are all wonderful things that you can do to help manage stress and also get some exercise in as well. And for the most part, they all seem a little bit free. Well done, everybody. And so I thought perhaps because you covered a lot of things that I had in my example slides, we could go back to them at another time. Why don't we move to the next question that we have on Mentimeter? So given the importance of getting enough water, hydration, movement, nutrition, and stress management, what can partners do to help? What would be helpful? These are really lovely ideas. So start reading them out loud, being kind and supportive and respecting boundaries, listening and being empathetic with mood changes, making sure that living space is tidy, so helping out. It's really nice. And join us in some of the activities. And exercising together, preparing homemade meals together. It's wonderful family time being together. I'm afraid I can't read the next one because the QR code's like covering it up. I don't know if it's the same for everyone else.
So get educated on the topic so they can tailor their support to their partner's needs.
Okay, just see if I can. Lovely.
So it's all about being aware about menopause. Partners should be aware about menopause so that they can tailor their or leverage their support to their partner's needs.
That's true. And encouraging, supporting a healthy lifestyle. I know that's been really important in my household as well, understanding that I may need to cook and eat something different. And sometimes they join in and they're like, oh, it's not so bad what you've had. And yes, take on mental load, meal planning, so helping out. And that's really wonderful. And I hope that you all will get the support that you need. And anything else that's coming through?
Who has got any other answers and can't access Mentimeter, please use the chat box as well. Or use your mic.
Yes, I wanted to suggest that.
That's really great. And I think it's such an interesting time to be able to pause and reflect, and as a new phase, to look at it as like an opportunity, and hopefully it's a good opportunity as well to work with other people to support you like this. So this is great. So what else do I have? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. There's a message in the chat box saying that be more understanding and help out any way she needs. So that's the message.
That's really lovely.
More understanding and help out the needs.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What a lovely, lovely group. Great. So what else do I have? So we talked about the activities, and I just wanted to add, we've got a few of those already with the home workouts and the dancing. Singing is also something that helps relax our nervous system. So definitely have your little karaoke night or sing it in the car or whatever you do. It does calm our nervous system. Think about movement snacks, like little things that we can do. Any little thing is better than sitting, right? So maybe taking the stairs, having a play with the kids, grandkids, pets. And we talked about those chores as well. So thank you for adding to that. And this is coming from Jim Quick, who's a brain guru. So suggestions to relieve stress and also to help us with some of the brain chemicals that make us feel good. And again, with the fluctuations of our hormones during perimenopause and menopause, these can impact these as well. So ideas of, if you're overthinking something, write something down. So whether it's journaling or gratitude list, or maybe a to-do list to help kind of focus what you need to do so you're not kind of having it all worrying you out. Anxious, try to move. And also confusion, walking, sad, exercise. You see that movement is really important for us to get things going, to help us with those brain chemicals that will help make us feel good. And then we talk about different things about getting enough sunlight, doing things like completing a task or looking at the self-care routines that we've talked about in Mentimeter, getting a good enough sleep, and being with loved ones and having a good laugh, and being kind, because that does make us feel good. So I hope this helps, and I'm happy to take any questions. I'll stop presenting in case anything comes in through the chat. Cool,
Those are wonderful presentations. Thank you so much, Sarah. And the fact that we had so many responses in Menti and whole conversations in the group chat shows that how impactful it has been. So if I can do something before we go into the Q&A, that would be great. First thing, is it all right if everyone can turn on their cameras and we can take a screenshot of everyone's happy faces at the webinar? So please turn on your cameras and then we can get a photo together, essentially. Oops. 1 second. Excellent. Thank you so much for that. The other thing is that I will share my screen, and then before we go into Q&A, we want to show something about ALIBSA for a few minutes, and then we go straight into the Q&As.
Yeah.
So this is a video that talks about ALIBSA, where our lead, Dr. Fatia Niodimosu, and one of our admin members, Dr. Sheng, are talking about ALIBSA and what it means and how it came through, etc. So yeah, have a read, have a listen and a view, and then yeah, we'll go straight into the Q&A.
My name is Fatiha Niodimosu, and I'm an associate professor of physical activity and health promotion in UWI Bristol. I founded ALIBSA, and I'm the lead on ALIBSA. So ALIBSA is an acronym from Aging Lifestyle in Blacks and Asians. It's a knowledge exchange program which is focused on improving health literacy among the ethnic minority background. So the focus is on the Black and Asian communities, because that's where I'm from, and that's where the majority of the admin members are from. And we're quite passionate about reducing health inequalities based on the existing health disparities that I'll call within this group of people.
I'm Chang Ma. I'm a senior lecturer in public health at UB Bristol. So my role within this ALIBSA network is acting as an admin member and also a collaborator for the ALIBSA network, and also helping to promote this network to the Chinese ethnic minority, and also helping them to have a better understanding about the importance of physical activity and nutrition. Through this network, we can spread this physical activity message to the community.
Yeah, the brain behind ALIBSA is made up of 6 admin members, which include my humble self, Alosh Jos, who is the CEO of Cricket Cube, a community-driven cricket business company based in Newcastle. We also have 2 medical doctors on the team, Dr. Giselle and Dr. Abolanle Adisupe, as well as a doctoral researcher, Oluwatobi Fatola. We have Dr. Cheng Ma, who is also a senior lecturer in public health as well. ALIBSA provides a platform whereby community members from the Black and Asian ethnic groups could be empowered through health literacy. And we feel that this would reduce health inequalities among this group of people, thereby increasing access to health services. We believe that when people are literate about their health condition, they have autonomy over their health, they are quite empowered over their health, and they have self-confidence to access health services, and that will go a long way in reducing health disparities among these communities. We will understand the barriers they face in accessing health services, and we can collectively work together to look at a well-tailored form of interventions that would enable them to access these health services. So ALIBSA is a program that helps to empower the communities. We run our monthly webinars, which involves inviting multidisciplinary group of speakers that give tailored health-related topics. And we use this platform to engage the communities on the experience with related topics. Outside the webinar, we have a robust WhatsApp community, which has over 120 members, and we do engage with our community members when it comes to resourcing health services, sharing links on ongoing research, sharing links on how to access specific facilities or resources tailored on health promotion within these ethnic groups. We also have a lot of volunteers who join us. Our webinars are well attended from different countries. This is not limited to the UK. We have people join us from other countries such as Netherlands, Canada, Malaysia, Australia, United States, Nigeria, Ghana, and several other countries. We have volunteers that also act as champions that help move ALIBSA within their home country. We do have a platform as well, which is linked with the championship and the volunteering platform, whereby we seek this platform to also mentor early career researchers who are really passionate about lifestyle-related conditions and community empowerment. Our vision for ALIBSA is to ensure that ALIBSA is global. We want to ensure that every country has an ALIBSA champion, and there will be community-driven led health literacy initiatives that would help empower people within the communities. Feel free to join our network. We will strive together to empower the Black and Asian communities. We will ensure we're able to reduce health inequalities within this network.
So that was about the community and what ALIBSA stands for. So it'd be great if you could all join us in our journey, as you're already doing. Do we need to do the feedback now or after the Q&A?
Yes, I think we can allow Sarah to attend to the question and answer session, and then we'll do the Q&A after that.
Yeah. So anyone, please use your mic to ask questions or use the chat box. I think, Sarah, you already have got access to the chat box. Yeah, so you'll be able to answer those questions as well.
Right. Okay, thanks. So I'll start with the chat section, if that's okay, and then we can go to live questions. So are there natural remedies or supplements that can help with symptoms? So because I'm not a medic and I'm not an herbalist, I wouldn't want to comment on that. But if you want, I can send you to an herbalist. I know somebody in the UK. I don't know where you're located and whether or not they'll be able to help you. But that's all I can offer at the moment. But I would definitely encourage you to speak with a healthcare provider, because more and more, I think they are becoming more open, especially for individual cases. If there's a reason they can't do hormone replacement therapy, then perhaps there's supplements they can recommend. So healthcare provider in the first instance. Otherwise, I could try to share the herbalist if the admins are happy with that. But we can speak about
Yeah,
that.
we can share some useful resources on the WhatsApp community. Thanks, Sarah.
That'd be good. I really needed this. Oh, thank you. Oh, that's really sweet. Could you comment on how pre-existing conditions can interact with menopause, particularly with mental health and neurodiversity? So I did attend, because I'm an ADHD coach, I'm also attended a talk about neurodivergence in women in particular. And what we've noticed is that when there's hormone fluctuations, so puberty, pregnancy, perimenopause, menopause, the neurodivergence, so ADHD, autism, can become more obvious, because as there's so much changes in the body with the hormone fluctuation, it's difficult to mask or hide some symptoms. So you might see things a little bit more clearly then. And so again, with the hormone fluctuations, from what I've seen and heard from the communities and from the medical community, is that the medications, regardless of whether it's hormone replacement therapy or with the things you may be taking for ADHD, because of the hormone fluctuations, it's a little bit difficult to have them work. They may have to change doses, may have to switch things up a little bit. So really need to work closely with your healthcare provider on that to keep close to that. I hope that helps. And are there any symptoms that are more common amongst Black and Asian people? And that's very interesting. So in the US, there's a SWAN study, which is a longitudinal study. And if you give me a moment, I can try to bring up the slides for that. Actually, no, rather than quoting from that, they did get some indications that, as we saw with the slide about the ages, the average menopause age being a little bit earlier, that also some of the symptoms can be a little bit more severe, but there needs to be a lot more longitudinal studies, a lot more inclusive studies. So definitely watch this space. And I think we did post a link to a survey maybe a week or two ago about one of these studies from one of the doctors who lectured on my menopause coaching course, who are trying to better understand the lived experience of minorities to be more inclusive. So there might be, but they need to learn more. Thank you so much. Exasperated symptoms. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, I think someone is raising a hand. Omolara Babatunde, some couple of minutes ago. Please raise your hand if you want to ask questions, burning questions. Yeah,
Hi,
Karen. Over to you,
Hi.
Karen.
Hi, thank you for your presentation. Just a query really. Are you aware of any data around, obviously menopause symptoms are quite nuanced sometimes, and sometimes they're taken too seriously and people end up on a 2-week cancer wait in this country, but actually they have menopausal symptoms that haven't been diagnosed correctly. But often people who have those symptoms also don't get taken seriously. So you have kind of two different routes or two different experiences. And is there any data around whether Black and Asian populations have a different experience or a similar experience, or is that not kind of
yes,
that you're aware of?
That's right. So in the first point, so for the UK, I would definitely look at the British Menopause Society and the publications. There's also a kind of a patient portal as well for that, so that might answer some of the questions about the more nuanced symptoms. And it's absolutely true, because as people are paying more attention to this and we're getting more inclusivity, I mean, if the doctors are just getting mandatory assessments this year, we know women's health is lacking in a lot of kind of robustness of studies and inclusivity of studies for the drugs and things like that. So it's I think it's forthcoming, but definitely the British Menopause Society, I think that's a really good source. This one study that was based out of the US, but again, because we all know that, like, if people are eating different foods, or that, you know, located in different ethnic groups or different foods, different regions, something that applies there may or may not apply elsewhere. So that's the only caveat I would say. But this one study in the US, and I would look at the British Menopause Society.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Any more question? Shanaz?
Hi, I'm Shanaz. I just wanted to know the pain and the joint pain. I assume that it's part of the symptoms, and just wanted to check. Sometimes it seems to be around the time, certain times of the month. Has that got to do with the hormone levels, and how come sometimes around particular times of the month? I mean, specifically when I used to have my period around that time, and just wondered about that.
It could very well be. Yeah, I'm afraid I'm not a medic, so I won't be able to answer, and certainly don't know your personal circumstances. Could very well be. That's one of the symptoms I noticed, and I was like, oh, what is this? And for me, hydration did help a bit, but yeah, it's.
Yes.
They don't tell you these things as we get older, right?
Yes, no, it's just that I hadn't realized that pain and joint pain was kind of part of that. So it's really interesting. And just to say thank you. And I realized that you know, as an academic and working with Black communities, if I am just discovering this information, then I find that a lot of my clients and those I work with don't actually have access to this information. I'm actually in South Africa. So yeah, I'm needing to think about that and how we give people information, more information about this. Thanks.
Well, absolutely. Thank you so much. And yeah, I applaud you wanting to do that. It's really helpful. It's really wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks, Shanaz. Sarah, I'm really interested in understanding the views of the Blacks and Asians about menopause, you know, the basic understanding and the perceptions as well in embracing menopausal symptoms, I think is lacking, because I can't seem to find any resources, just like Karen said. Most of those resources we find are linked with our white counterparts. I can't seem to find any resources that focuses on the Blacks and Asians. And I just wondered if, I mean, in the future, if you come across any of such, please share it with us. It's also for the researchers among us. I think there's a niche there that we could explore as researchers, you know, perceptions of Blacks and Asians on menopause. You know, it could be a PhD project, it could be a master's project. So I'm really interested in that. And I also wondered, because I know that Vita Biotics does some supplements which are multivitamins. Some of them are menopause. I'm not sure if you know what menopause is. If you go to Boots and you say you want to buy menopause, I remember that my mom do use menopause during menopausal and even post-menopausal. I think it does have some effect in, you know, balancing deficient vitamins, although not linked with hormones per se, because I don't have evidence for that. But I think, I mean, using supplements could help with mood swings as well. And that could be helpful. I quite agree with the fact that you mentioned hydration. I love drinking water. I believe water is like the easiest, most accessible medicine you can use when you're down, when you're anxious, when you're angry, when you're happy. You know, it helps. There's a way water helps to relieve your state of metabolism and mind as well. So hydration, I give it thumbs up for hydration. But on the other hand, I wonder if you could suggest, because someone mentioned natural remedies. Some of the, I'm not sure if Alosh can tell us more about the soups and spices, you know, the curry soup and all that. Does it help? I know cumin helps as well. I know that someone told me cumin helps, but I'm not sure if other spices could help. So the researchers here, it might be a great opportunity to look into that as well.
So we did connect with the UCL professor who is doing research. That's the one who set out that survey. So I think connecting with them, because they are quite interested in this as well, kind of looking in different ethnicities. Sorry, not the herbal, but the expanding and understanding the different ethnic groups' experience with menopause. And I think it's a great idea also to contribute where we can to widen that knowledge base.
Yes.
I think there's one more question in the group about frozen shoulders.
Oh, yes. So frozen shoulders, I think what they're referring to is that very cold or potentially the pain in the joint. If that who mentioned the frozen shoulder is one of the, for Karen, is that?
Yes, sorry, I'm happy to, I've had one, so I can explain from my perspective. A frozen shoulder is where you have a lot of pain in your shoulder initially, but then you have stiffness in your shoulder that really restricts your movement. So literally for about 3 years, I couldn't move my right arm. And when I went to see the GP, it was very much, you know, you're a woman of a certain age. And kind of, it took me a long time to realize that that was due to menopause. And when I did some research, I think it is one of the top 3 symptoms of menopause, but no one had ever kind of suggested that, or, you know, and then since I've been speaking to others, kind of it's a real thing, but it lasts quite a long time. And yeah, kind of you don't get much support or sympathy for it, is my experience.
Oh, thank you for sharing, Karen. It sounds really awful, quite painful, and also having dismissive experience as well. Not good at all.
That's interesting. Someone in the chat has just said, I've had this for a while now, never linked it to menopause. Yeah, I've been
well
there.
done for sharing, everybody.
Thanks, Karen. There's also a part of urinary tract infection. Someone posted, I think that was Karen as well.
Yeah, again, kind of, I was picking up on the presenter's talk. Your hormones affect your uterus, but you know, your female organs in your body, but also your urinary tract. So people may experience frequency or kind of pain when you pass urine, and that can sometimes be a urinary tract infection. And if you've never had those in your life, but then suddenly you start to have them, that can sometimes be an indication of cancer potentially, but it's also a recognized symptom of menopause. So it's really something to be aware of.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, it's definitely that sudden urge needing to go for a wee. They talk about, like, you know, getting home, your hand on the door handle and just, I need to go now. So that urgency as well. So yeah, it definitely impacts a lot of our tissue, different areas of the system. So yes, we have another hand up.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sarah. That was a very good presentation. I really enjoyed the parts of the symptoms and explaining to people what they can do to help themselves. So I was just going to say what most people shy away from at that age really would be talking about reduced libido, and then painful while having sex. There is a kind of pain which is linked to reduction in the secretion around the area, which could be linked to menopause as well, which is something that people would like to know more about. And do you have anything that you want to talk to them about?
Yes, so I think that's definitely worth mentioning to your healthcare provider, because there are hormone replacement therapy that will actually go inside the body that will help the skin, help with that lubrication. There's actually lubrication that you can buy as well. And there are also some, exercises and things. There's a coach out there, Buff Muff, that will help with those kinds of that area.
I think Kegel's exercise does help. Kegel's, Kegel. Yeah. I've heard about the relevance of doing Kegels exercise often. It also helps with reducing urinary incontinence in women as well. So it has a lot of benefits. So if you could do that several times in a day, that could be helpful as well. I'm really conscious of time. We have 3 minutes, Alosh.
Yeah, I was thinking that. And then I suppose the next bit, if obviously, thank you for all the questions. Hopefully you've answered most of them. But if there's any questions, just let us know in the WhatsApp community, and then we can ask Sarah, and then we can come back to you with the answers, or just send us an email as well. But keeping that in mind, it would be great if you could answer some questions about. Sorry.
So yeah, we could okay.
Yeah, we could answer some questions about how the webinar went. It would be wonderful for us. It could also help us to plan the future webinars. So this is the QR code. If you don't have another device,
Can we put that in the chat?
In the chat. Yeah.
Yeah, and also the ALIBSA community. Toby, can you put that on the community site as well, for those that could join the webinar? Next slide, 2 minutes more.
Yeah, so just click on the button, and then hopefully you can complete that as we go on.
So we need volunteers to help manage our website. We need to upload recent blogs on the website. Please kindly inform any of the admin members if you are really skilled in maintaining website. We need website manager. Next slide, please, Alosh. Over to you, Alosh. I'm the one here, so you should do the talking.
Yeah, so we are finishing off the year 2024 with almost like a recap, and also looking forward to what's going to happen in 2025 for ALIBSA. So I've got a special edition of recap webinar on the 18th of December. So it's a Wednesday again, where we'll discuss about what we did through this year, including all our presentations and things like that, but also understanding what we need to do in the next year, setting those goals. Obviously, because ALIBSA is community driven, we need your input to make sure that what ALIBSA is doing is suit your needs, essentially. So
also to chip in the fact that we've had 6 volunteers join us, and would love to introduce them to you. We have great news. We've just recently won an award, the Community Impact Champion under ALIBSA. So we're moving mountains. Well done, everyone. So we would love to share all these updates with you next month. And also we'd love to hear your feedback as well, how we can improve ALIBSA, the timing. Some of you mentioned that the timing is not suitable. We would address that next year. So we need you to be on board next month.
So thank you so much, everyone. See you all in December.
Most importantly, Sarah, thank you very much for that insightful presentation. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you. If you need anything else, please get in contact. Love to hear from you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much, everyone. That's all for now.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you. Bye.